Hello, I'm Kayla and I'm a vet student in the GP here. Today I'm going to chat with you a bit about EMS placements, how you get them and what they're kind of like. I'm from the US and schools there don't really require EMS, so it's a little bit daunting and confusing kind of trying to figure out what it was all about when I first started the program. I've been doing my husbandry placements this year, and I don't start clinical placements until next year. So I'll mainly be focusing on my husbandry EMS placements and what those are like in this vlog. As a graduate entry student, I'm required to do like a certain amount of weeks of husbandry placements in the first year. And if you have some or are able to get some husbandry experience in the summer before you start vet school, sometimes you can count that for some of your weeks. And like if you have a job or an internship with animals, but it does have to be husbandry based and not clinical, so more like taking care of and handling animals versus doing like restraining patients or anything like that. So for instance, I worked at a vet clinic last year that didn't have a boarding kennel, so I wasn't able to actually count any of that towards my husbandry weeks. There's time where you can have like placements over Christmas break or Easter, or as like US students call it, spring break. And then you can also do some the summer after your first year as well. And then there are certain specific like species that you have to do a specific numbers of weeks with of husbandry experience. So like dairy cows and horses and lambing sheep, and then dog and cat, etc. And then there are a couple of weeks that we get to do free choice, so that can be like getting some experience with exotic animals or wildlife, or just getting some more experience with a certain species that you haven't had as much experience with in the past if you want to. And then we do have to set up the placements ourselves, and we do that by contacting the farmers or the kennels or whatever place and seeing if they'll let you help out for a week or two. So it's a little bit scary at first, but it also kind of means that you get more of a choice about where you want to go and the places that you want to go to. So I've been able to travel a little bit to some new places, doing some placements other places than in Edinburgh. So that's been really nice. Or like over the summer after your first year, if you're going home for the summer, you can set up some placements back home as well. And then there are some ways that you can find them as well. So the school has like a database of places that students have gone in the past, and if they recommend them or not, which I found very helpful because I was looking for more ones that students had good experiences at, to help me find ones that I would have a good experience at too. And then sometimes the school will email out about different opportunities, and you can also just like kind of Google around some places nearby and find them that way, which is how I've found a dairy placement for the summer near my home, or how you might find some, like if the database doesn't have ones near your home in the US that they list, you can Google them. Or I've also had some luck with having friends or family know of places that I can ask around at. But I would, if you do find one by Googling, I would just double check that the database to see if the database has somebody who's gone there in the past, just to see if the person had a good experience there or not. It might not be in the database, but if it is, that can be helpful. And so far I've really enjoyed all of my placements. I've had good experiences at all of them, and I've also learned a lot from going to them. So this year we had 4 weeks of Easter break, and I ended up doing 3 weeks of placements over that time. So I did 1 week of dog and cat at a kennel. The staff there were very friendly, and it was really fun to be around a bunch of dogs and cats again. and get to walk dogs, did a lot of cleaning, and I did that one in Edinburgh, so I did just commute there every morning, which was easy enough using the bus and the tram. It was a bit of a long commute, but it worked out well. And then I did a week at a zoo that was further north in Scotland. I did have to get an Airbnb to stay at close to the zoo since they didn't offer accommodation. However, this year the school did have some EMS bursaries that were available, and I was able to apply for and received one, which was really nice because then it covered the cost of my travel and of my accommodation. So that was a nice bonus. And I'll put a little picture in here of just the area of Scotland that I was in. It was really pretty. The zoo was a fantastic experience. Everyone there was very friendly. The zookeepers taught me a lot, and they were very happy to answer all of my questions. And I got to learn a lot about nutrition and diets for all sorts of different species. I did a lot of cleaning of enclosures again, because it is husbandry experience. And I learned and helped with some enrichment for some of the different animals. So all in all, it was an amazing experience. Got to work with a lot of species, some of which I had never heard of before. So that was great. And then the last placement I had was lambing at a sheep farm in Northern Ireland. And so that was actually, beforehand was a little bit stressful because a week and a half before the lambing placement I had scheduled was set to begin, the farmer ended up having to cancel due to some unforeseen things that had come up. So this was very stressful for me because I was left scrambling to try to find a new placement quickly, and I had already booked a plane ticket and everything. But the school does have people to contact when things like this happen, or if you were to need to leave a placement or anything like that. So I was able to get a new placement approved really quickly, and luckily I was able to find another placement because a friend asked the farm she was helping at if they knew anyone who needed help, and they had connections. So I was able to find another farm in Northern Ireland for the same week and able to use my plane ticket and everything. And there were also some emailed out like last minute lambing placements as well. So really don't stress too much about placements. Most of the time they end up working out for the best. And then also you have like a great community around you at school with the staff and with classmates to help you and support you. And then a lot of the lambing placements do provide accommodation, although some don't. So mine did, which was very nice. And I got a lot of hands-on experience observing sheep behavior, feeding sheep, helping with difficult births, and caring for lambs. And I also learned a ton about day-to-day life on the farm and what that is like. And I got to see a lot of beautiful countryside as well. I'll put a little picture in here as well for you to see. But all in all, I think lambing was actually my favorite placement yet, even though I had the most stress about it beforehand. And it's definitely the one that I think I learned the most at. So then I'll be finishing up the rest of my husbandry placements this summer back home in the US. And though placements can seem a little bit scary at the beginning of the course, especially having to set them up yourself and kind of figure out what they're all about, they do provide a lot of amazing hands-on experience that you wouldn't get otherwise. And they've really taught me a lot. And they're a great way to gain a lot of confidence handling species that you might not have worked with much before. I know I haven't worked with like large farm animals much at all before I came here, so it's great to get the hands-on handling husbandry experience before you go and do any sort of clinical experiences. Yeah, so that has been my experience with EMS so far.